I'm gonna go ahead and call to order the January 27th meeting of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District Board of Directors, and invite everyone to stand if you're able and join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Vice President Newton, your words for us?
Yeah, short words. God, please look after all of the fire victims and provide them with calmness and help them make decisions. In God's name, we speak. Amen.
All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Director Nicole Wiltshire. Vice Secretary Arlene Schaefer.
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry.
Here.
Vice President Robert Uten.
Here.
President Mike Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
Any link communications?
No, Mr. President,
Okay. We have no ceremonial matters that are aware of this evening.
none tonight.
Public comments, your time. For public comments, items not on our agenda, but are on the purview. And I see someone making for
Happy New Year, everybody. I know you've been here much times. My name is Sue Lester. I am a resident here. I am on the CAC, but I am not speaking on behalf of the CAC or its members. I'm just here for myself. 4 out of 5 of you are used to me doing this every year. This will be never Wiltshire's first time. I bring this up every year, so I'm bringing it up again. Meetings. I know that some of the meetings that the directors attend are only offered virtually, and that's why they're attended. There are other meetings, however, that take place in person that people are watching virtual. I know the governor for city agencies has made it no virtual unless it's an emergency illness type thing. And I know the district is different, but I would encourage the district to follow along. Not because I have a problem personally with any one of you, but I would like to see the district get a little tighter on its guidelines so that it doesn't put itself in a situation where it can be manipulated by somebody who has ill will or is trying to take advantage of their position. I don't know if you guys have any rules in terms of if you attend a meeting, if you have to stay for a certain amount of time, like, is it like a salaried employee in California where if someone goes to a meeting for 5 minutes and they leave, they get paid $300? Because I'm pretty sure I can speak on behalf of most ratepayers would not be cool with that. So I just wanna make sure that, because I know you guys aren't gonna be on this board forever, and I really want for you to put some safeguards in place for better explanations of expenses, accountability for meetings and things like that. So the district doesn't suffer a financial loss for somebody who's not doing it. So if you would consider that, I think it would be fabulous. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else from the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment part of the meeting and move to the consent calendar. I know from the board or staff or public wish to pull an item for discussion separate on consent calendar.
Well, I'd like explanation of the asset management fund. So I'll move the balance of the, that's down in the investment.
That's right.
I'll move approval of the consent.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent calendar passes unanimous. All right, Scott, General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lou Tran, Senior Accountant, will be giving this report.
I will present fiscal year 24-25 mid-year quarterly budget amendments to the following in the water fund. The amended expenditure budget for following fund is $8.6 million. As of December 31st, 2024, 27% of the budget has been spent. Staff anticipated savings of $25,000 by year end, primarily due to savings and maintenance operation. On the revenue side, the total budget for following in general fund is $8.6 million. By December 31st, $4.28 million or 6% of the revenue has been received. So wastewater has an amended expenditure budget of $6.5 million, excluding capital improvement projects. By December 31st, 44% of the budget has been expended. That anticipated savings of $249,000, mainly due to savings in personnel, maintenance, operation, and capital assets. For revenue, the wastewater has a total budget of $8.1 million, or 52% of the revenue has been received. This concludes our presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question, Lou, on the executive summary. First document, you talked about a $3,000 savings in benefits, salaries. And then you mentioned the fact that the directors have received less compensation than was budgeted for. Is that the total 3,000 attributed to that, or were there some other?
The vacancy. Including vacancy of the wastewater maintenance manager position during the first quarter, including the board.
Okay. Other questions for Lou and Nick on status report? Okay, this is an action item, I believe, we'll approve it, correct? No, I'm sorry, receive and file. Any other questions? All right, we will receive and file it. Thank you for being with us. You weren't nervous about this thing. No. All right, item 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin Tran, no relations to Lou Tran, will be giving this report.
Good evening, Mr.
May not be
President.
related, but we still know who you are. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President.
Unmute Caitlin.
Oh,
Or is she?
mute on my end.
Can't hear.
It is not mute on my end.
I see her lips moving too.
We're working on unmuting you.
It is not mute on my end.
Maybe her laptop.
Maybe.
Caitlin, can you check the mic on your laptop, please?
Yeah, it's not mute. It's not mute.
No. I'm sure we can find. Okay,
Come back.
Well, I can speak on behalf of Caitlin Tran.
Hold on, try one more time, Caitlin.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, sorry about, it's not mute on my end, so I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. In front of you is the preliminary budget calendar for the fiscal years 2025-26 and 2026-27. Staff will be working on different aspects of the budget from now until the study session. Staff plans to present the first review of the preliminary budgets to the board at the April study session. Any recommendations and comments from the board of directors and the CAC will be considered and incorporated into the budget process. The board of directors will adopt the final budgets at the June board meeting. And that's the end of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. This report is open for discussion.
So the study session in April will actually be, will that be the first time we see the budget, or will we have an opportunity prior to that to see anything?
So right now, from now till the April study session, I'm working with staff and each department to put together the next 2 years, 2 fiscal year budgets, and then I'll present first time the budget at the April study session. And then at the April study session is when you can give us inputs and comments and suggestions. And then I'll come back with those suggestions, and then I will try to incorporate everything into the second version of the preliminary budget. And then we'll come back in maybe April board meeting or the May study session, and we can schedule a special meeting also. And then we also have the June study session to go over as well. And then June board meeting will be adoption.
So essentially, we'll have the board, we'll have from April till the May time period to do whatever work we want to do on it ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Chris, are these target dates designed by us? Or are they designed by the regulatory agency? Is this our target dates?
For the budget meetings?
Yeah, all the target dates are starting in January through.
Yes, these are just meetings that staff drafted, came up with these meeting dates so we can ensure that the budget is adopted by July.
Does anybody else see our dates, just us?
Just, I mean, this is open to the public, you want to see it, but yeah.
I'm just curious.
All right, so we have the calendar set up. Again, to the board after the April meeting, that we'll have our chance to dig in. Whether we have an additional meeting or a special meeting, we can determine that even after the May meeting if we need to, because we have until June to finalize.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Thank you, Caitlin. We'll take the calendar and start moving.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move to item 3 then.
So thank you, Mr. President. So as you know, every year, the board will assign performance goals to me. And typically there's about 10 goals that the board will assign to me every year, which I greatly appreciate because I would now know your expectations of me, what you want me to accomplish for the following year. In the spirit of openness and transparency, I do choose to share my performance goals, the status of my performance goals to the board in a public setting. And in the staff attached staff report is my 2024 performance goals. And as you see in the attachment, 8 out of the 10 goals are completed. The 2 goals that are not completed were due to budget constraints. Those 2 items were not in the budget. And I believe there were other projects that took more precedent for funding rather than these goals. And in that staff report, I do identify a couple of those projects. One of them was the permanent fixture fee study. We need additional funding for that project. Also, we did not budget for the multi-jurisdiction hazard mitigation plan, which is almost $12,000. And I thought that took more precedent over performance goals. So 8 out of the 10 goals are completed. Also attached is my proposed 2025 performance goals, which I have met with President Schaefer already. So tonight is for you to comments, feedback on my 2025 performance goals. If there is something you want to add, another goal, you want to tweak those goals, now's the opportunity to do that. And then after that discussion, the recommendation is to authorize the president to negotiate a compensation adjustment. And then we'll have a full session in February, and then you can report back your decision in open settings in the public meeting. So that concludes my presentation. Have any questions?
Thanks, Scott. The one goal that was not completed had to do with the pump stations and the alternative power source. Do we, as we go into this new budget cycle, do you anticipate putting any funding in to look at that, or is it necessary?
We can look into it. I believe the budget is going to be pretty tight this year, so I can do some research, find out what it is, and see if we can afford it. If that the board wants me to do, the board wants, think that's a viable goal to proceed, we can look into that.
You know, I guess it's always something we should look at, but this is something that probably is a back burner type thing.
Sure.
So that's how I feel about it. If anybody else?
What is the estimated cost of that number 6 that who's talking about?
For the wind turbines, I don't know, I have to do some research on that. I'm projecting could be $30,000-$50,000. Usually 30-50, yeah, those have a studies that cost that much.
Yeah, you should get a quote, I mean, you get a price for it.
Sure.
And the same thing with number 8,
It's basically the same.
same thing, it's did you get a cost for that? Tony?
No, I did not have to do that in my business. Yes,
Good knowledge.
sure.
I just think it's. With recent events and things, backups are gonna be critical in a lot of areas when it comes to infrastructure operations and for all special districts, so.
Yeah, the wind turbine really was more than to try to save money on it, energy costs. We were like, the present pump station was ideal location because it does get windy over there, right? So it might be an ideal place. That pump station, present pump station does have a permanent generator on site already, so if there is a lot of power, we do have backup.
Any other questions on the goals for 2025?
What are the new goals?
The new goals, yeah.
But, these are for one year goal.
Yes.
Could it be any more specific on some of them? They can't all, I expect they could all wait until, June 31st of 2026, right? Or whenever, are these calendar goals?
Yes, calendar.
Oh, so the end of the year.
Yes.
But it'd be nice. And this is kind of a work plan to see. Some more definitive dates on some of them,
Okay.
Maybe quarterly or semi-annually or something. I mean, so then you have to, we know and that it has to be done in a timely manner or. I don't know.
Okay, I can work on something and bring it back to you. Sure.
I guess the one goal I have you really look at for maybe pulling out is number 2. We may not have a FEMA to work with in the relatively near future, so.
That's beyond my control, so I can only control what I can control.
That's out of everybody's control.
How about number 6? If I know that Fairview Development Property, where are we in that?
We are currently researching that right now. We're getting some more documents, and then once we have all the documents, we can come back and have that discussion with the board.
Do you know who we would assess? Is it the owners of the land? Or
That's what we're trying to find out. Yes, we're trying to.
That's one of the top things. we need to do.
Yes.
I would think whoever gets the contract to the buildings would be the one.
No, these are the what houses that are on there now.
Yes, that's.
Sorry, yeah, of course. Yeah.
We want to make sure how far can we go back?
Exactly.
How far can we go back?
4 years. Yeah,
Pretty significant.
sure, it could be.
That would take over 2 other projects.
You what we're talking, which property we're talking about. If you look at Fairview Developments, and there's a bunch of houses right out on Harbor Boulevard that were built, they were built for doctors and other staff people to live in when the hospital was open. We've never assessed them for any sewer. It's all been part of the big part of Fairview Developments, and so that's what we've asked him to look into.
Well, there's also a whole series of houses behind those houses that are private residential.
That's what I mean.
That's what we're
But
talking
you're
about.
not talking about just the ones in Harbor, you're talking about all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, all, the ones you can see there in Harbor,
And
as you go into the
and
facility.
they're also served by waste management.
Yeah, exactly. We should be taking that over.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, there.
Waste management.
No, and that's because, at least when I had the question, it's part of the Fairview Development Community. And they have that responsibility, and so they have to find a contractor for those people.
I didn't know that. That's what I'm saying. it'll be to our advantage to take care of that as soon as possible.
Yes.
All right, then we'll be back again in February to, you and I will meet sometime before then.
Yes.
Well, and when you say 4 years, we're only responsible for paying someone that has been in property charged 3 years. So, is it 3 years or 4 years?
I believe it's 4 years, but I'll double check.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move then to item 4.
Thank you, Mr. President. So again, continuing on our mission to be transparent and open government, this next program that we implemented several years ago, our performance measurement program, is a way to demonstrate to you and to the public on how well we're performing. And in our performance measurement program, we had 36 goals that we were trying to achieve. And I'm pleased to report that we did achieve the outcome out of 25 of those goals, and all of those are listed in your staff report. And then there's about 7 goals that were close to achieving, almost didn't get there, but that's we you know, it was close, but still did very well. And then we had several goals that didn't hit the mark. And typically, when we don't hit the goal, we'll meet with staff and we analyze, well, what went wrong? Was it maybe there was an anomaly that, a one-time anomaly that we didn't have any control over, or is there something we're currently doing right now? What can we do differently to improve on our level of service to meet our outcome? So it's a continuing work in progress. Again, this is just another tool to demonstrate our transparent openness, and it's really happy to answer any questions you have, and I'm very pleased with what we accomplished in 2024. So
I'll kind of leave it off again. Number 1, at goal number 1, I'm really stoked to see what you've done with the EMOD, the workers' comp chart. The fact that everybody, I mean, this is attributable to your staff being more careful, to things, preventing things that cause injuries. So to get that EMOD down to 100% from where we were 2 years ago is really, really significant, and will really save the district a lot of money.
hopefully that'll go 100%. We should get that EMOD in a couple months.
If you get a negative by next year, then not only will I be stoked, I'll do cartwheels for you, correct?
Hear that?
Oh, not the cartwheel.
Need some help. That'll be a lot of help. But, again, this is a near and dear thing to me, because I was in that business, that's significant. To go from
Thank you.
65 down to 0 is excellent. The other, what I had a question on was on your wellness program.
Yes.
I remember talking last year that part of what was keeping you from attaining that was people participating in the program. Obviously, it's improved.
Yes.
What's your trend? Do you see people getting more involved in it?
It's a combination of, one, you gotta make it fun, right? And there's also gotta be, what can they receive if they win? It's gotta be a friendly competition. So we had some nice gifts give out to the winners, and they get recognition in front of all their peers. But I think the one, it has to be, again, fun, easy access, easy. This kind of app has to be easy to be used, and just really enjoyable. Something that they enjoy doing.
Well, whatever's done, again, when you see it, a 16-point, 16-point, that's pretty good. So congratulations. All right, anybody else? All right. Thank you for doing this. This is a valuable report.
Thank you.
And to see that they're here, I think is really good. As long as it goes in the right direction.
But even if it doesn't go right, but that's why we have it, so we can find out what did we do wrong, and then we sit down and around table and discuss, okay, what do I do differently? So again, it's not a way to punish anyone or anyone gets reprimanded. It's just a way of thinking of continual improvements.
Just one question about the outcomes that did not achieve 7% of the wastewater pump stations. Do you think we could get to that?
Yeah, typically we usually do hit 100%, but we didn't have the wastewater maintenance manager in place, and so we had several employees that were going to interim supervisors, so they had to do most of the administrative work which took away from the field. And so that's what could put us behind a little bit. And so that was pretty much the simple reason why we got to it. But yes, typically we usually hit 100%. I'm confident we'll get it next year.
Yeah, I think those two will be highly.
Yes.
Strategic plan report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is again another quarterly report that we give to the board on our strategic plan. And as you know, we have less than 6 months left in our 2020-25 strategic plan. And we are currently in the process of developing our next 5-year plan. But this is our strategic plan for the second quarter of this fiscal year. And it's just an update of what we've achieved so far in the 5 years and what we achieved in the second quarter of this fiscal year.
Questions? Bob?
I think it would be important also to have a list, when we do the new strategic plan, a list of what needs to be accomplished, by a year. Some of them have dates, it would be nice, for a lot of the particular strategies to have dates.
Yes.
And so maybe along with the strategic plan, we can get what's in the first year and second year. The majority of what we try to achieve is generally in the first 2 years.
Right.
But there are some of the strategies that have certain dates.
Yes, we'll be sure to put these in the new plan, sure.
Okay. Anything else on item 5? Item 6?
I will take that, Mr. President, and let me pull up my 15-slide presentation here for you that we're gonna go through really quick. Okay. It would be a disservice if we didn't give you a slideshow for public outreach. So here we are. Credit to Angela Kalunga for putting together this beautiful presentation. We are going to share with you some of our public outreach highlights for the year of 2024, but also do some comparatives between 2020 to date. So you can see how we have improved. We utilize social media platforms of X, Facebook, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn, YouTube, and Nextdoor. We are proud to say that our social media followers has increased from 1,699 back in 2020 to 2,855 as of the end of 2024. Part of the main items that we had featured in last year were focused on SB 1383 and the 3-cart rollout. So we shared a lot of trash tips and notices, shared events for the community and local services, as well as district programs on these platforms. You'll see that our Nextdoor membership has also increased. We are now at 54,540 Nextdoor members. So that has definitely been helpful in identifying certain areas that need to receive a specific message, like Christmas trees not getting picked up. Other public outreach topics were, again, 3-cart rollout, as well as wastewater tips on protecting your pipes and eligibility for SERP reimbursement, as well as information on trash tips and how to request a different size cart, since that was a big thing during the 3-cart rollout. We also like to share and repost other local agency information that may be relative and helpful for our community. We love to highlight our staff and share their accomplishments as well. And we also make sure to send out trash notifications if there are going to be delays due to different holidays. The average number of posts that we do have on social media is about 157 in a year, which is about 1 every 2.3 days. We don't like to over inundate our residents with constant messaging, but we do like to utilize the multiple different platforms, which we'll see here in just a second. We do have other mailers that you may have also received in your mail. We like to make sure that we share our printed material as well, as not everyone is on social media. So in 2024, we had 9 different mailers that focused on the 3-card system, recycling, sustainability, and customer service, and the organics recycling program. Our newsletter had a little bit of a facelift. You may see that it looks a little bit different this year. We just changed its layout in last year. Those are just a few of the many topics that we've covered. One of them including the battery recycling. And we also feature that in the HHW collection because I know the board has had a concern about trash truck fires. So we've included that topic in there several times now, and we'll continue to recirculate that in future editions as well. Our YouTube channel continues to grow with the number of subscribers. I'm happy to say that people actually want to know what we're saying on our YouTube channel. They're either tuning into our town hall videos or our meeting videos do get watched. We had 286,586 views of our YouTube channel last year, which is pretty impressive. So we will continue to push more information on that platform as well. In 2024, we completed 20 community events. We participated in 20 events, which is quite a jump from 11 events that we participated in back in 2022 and 2023. We are very grateful also to our members of the CAC who have volunteered to participate in these events as well. So thank you, CAC members. Email campaigns will also continue. Last year, we averaged about 72 email campaigns. So that's about 1 every 5 days or so. Those campaign topics could be meeting notices, newsletters. Whenever we have a press release, we send something out. So when the CAC vacancies also come up in February, the community will be receiving an email about that for applications. Our Go CMSD app has also increased in usage. We went from 2,143 back in 2020 to now 8,114 users. This has also assisted staff in being able to respond timely and allow for communication to flow better between the public and staff as well.
We have 23,000 residences.
The goal is to get as many residents as possible tuned in and logged in. So we do advertise our app on our social media. We do plug it into our newsletter as well, just to increase usage.
So there could be 3 people in a household, so it's really 66,000 potential email.
Possibly.
Or 1 email for 6 people.
Here's a breakdown between 2023 and 2024 on the number of users or requests that we had come through the Go CMSD app. We received service requests through Go CMSD, quite a variance between 2,000 and nearly 4,000. And then website visits via our social media. Whenever we post any information that we share from our website to our social media, under 2,000 back in 2023, it took a major jump to nearly 8,000. So I think that's really commendable. Email subscribers, we had a jump in subscribers as well who want to receive information from the district, going from just a tad over 6,000 to almost 9,000. So I'm pretty sure that it absolutely did, yes. We also received a mailer list from CRNR to help us better reach our customers so that we were able to add their emails on there as well.
Even though that's one event, might have prompted them to get involved, they're gonna stay on it. I mean, people, once they see it, they're gonna stay on it.
Right,
That's huge, Joe. That's really good.
thank you. Yes,
Do you happen to, the jump with website visits via social media is amazing. Do you happen to know where that traffic is coming from? Or is it broken down?
we can probably get that data for you and share that. Sure.
And then another suggestion would be to consider migrating our presence from X over to Blue Sky, given all the controversy with the owner of X recently. So yeah, Blue Sky, I'm not sure if you've tried it out, but it's just, it's a perfect X alternative and it's growing really fast.
So it's the same kind of platform, same kind of- really?
We'll take a look at it. Thank you. So in 2025, events that we plan on participating in are the City of Costa Mesa's Earth Day. We will have our shredding and compost event, the fish fry, of course, concerts at the park, coastal cleanup, and eco expo. There are other events that we have been requested to participate in as well, including Davis Magnet's Earth Day event, the Orange County Children's Water Festival. So we will continue to add to that and also ask for volunteering opportunities. So stay tuned for more information on that.
You have to pay for entry into those events.
Not all of them. Some of them are sponsored events. Some events the board has approved sponsorship of, which allows us to participate in those events. So in terms of payment, that would probably be it. But for the others, no, they're completely voluntary. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any other questions.
Question? If not, there's no clapping in the audience. Say that to you, but he has.
I didn't print this off.
I can get you a copy.
Can you get a copy?
Sure.
Because I have this. I like credits. Pretty cost.
If we have a little suggestion or an inquiry. I'm a member of a travel club, that's not really a travel club, it's more like for my DMV staff. And I won't give the name of the company, but they have 3 initials that all begin with A. They send out a magazine every month. And in the magazine, they do a little prompt. They'll put a symbol, I think it's a poppy, somewhere in the magazine, right? And the first person to find that can log on to a website or do something and they get a prize. Okay? Through our social media and stuff, I don't know if there's a way to put like a little, maybe trash slayer or something. And the first person to find it and notify you guys, maybe we give them a $50 gift card or something.
It's a cute thought.
Can you guys look into maybe something, just kind of a fun little thing in a way that,
Like, where's Waldo?
yeah. And the Register used to do this, the Register newspaper used to do this, where they would, like in their advertising or their classifieds, they would have one little thing, congratulations, you found the, and I know my brother won it a couple of times, they have movie tickets, but just some little prompt or some little incentive thing
Sure.
hidden somewhere, just for fun.
That'll be fun.
Do you remember well, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 times that somebody on staff that's in our area, and they used to put something that they had it like a, what, I can't remember what they called it.
You're talking about the comic book translated?
The sewer slayer?
It's like a sword or something.
Yeah, trash slayer.
Yeah.
Or sewer.
Sewer slayer.
Sewer.
Yeah, and he got a prize for it, but he was an art editor.
That's when they did the comic books and gave it to the kids.
Yes.
In that regard, that might be a way to get a lot more emails if you could advertise, that comic book, because kids are so fascinated. And when they're fascinated with big trucks, then when they go by, they come out and watch. And then staff have historically given them that comic book. But if you could probably enhance your media outreach through the kids. If, in fact, you could get that information to parents, and they might want it. The kids are very interested in that.
Yes. Thank you.
I know my youngest grandson, before he was of school age, he couldn't tell you what day of the week it was. There's no way. Hey, look at what day of the, but he knew when trash day was. And he would sit on the edge of the couch waiting for the trash truck to show up. Good reply. Those are good number. I mean, you guys should get some awards.
You hear that?
No, I mean, industry award. I didn't mean-
Question, will we finish with Pepe Smith?
Our contract has ended with Trey Pepe Smith. We do have them on hand if we needed them for ad hoc services. Since we don't have a large marketing and in-house photography team or videography team, if we needed that help, we would reach out to TS for that.
Are you anticipating that help coming? You think you need it? Just curious.
We are in the process of setting up our budget, so we will be having some discussions this week actually, and we will let the board know if we do anticipate that. We're hoping to try and do everything as much as we can here in-house to minimize the expenses, but they have been a true asset.
I think by osmosis, they absorbed a lot of that Pepe Smith stuff.
They were a great help.
They were extremely good.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion, with the newsletter?
Oh, yes.
Oh, sure. Oh, I saw it in the PowerPoint. And it's kind of like set up like a newspaper, right? It's got a headline. So I would just recommend maybe considering, doing a newsletter that has, a teaser for everything that's on the inside of it on the front page. That way, when it goes out into mailboxes, people, can see everything that's in the newsletter as opposed to putting the responsibility on them to flip through it. Instead, it's all on the cover. So you might want to consider that.
Thank you.
Also, I checked Blue Sky has 27 million.
Thank you.
27 million? Is that a nationwide or?
Oh, no, it's.
Worldwide?
Yeah,
Looking at that.
it's really pleasant to have.
It's, yeah, that, it could be a challenge. All right, item 7.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is regarding the urgent emergency repair that's going on one of our sewer lines out on Southwest Plaza property. The good news is that we believe there is land in this tunnel. This project will become completion soon. However, it is still an emergency and we still need you to adopt a resolution continuing this project to be as an emergency. However, before you do adopt the resolution, I did ask our district engineer, Mark Esker, to give you an update on this project and anticipated completion date. So I'll turn it over to Mark. Give you some update on
It seems like light in the tunnel is not the right. And, you know, maybe you could, we don't want to see any light stuff.
Light in the
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much. As you may be aware, some of you saw an update that I provided to the liaison committee last Friday.
No, it's kind of crazy.
On January 6th, we started the heavy construction. We started with move on all the heavy equipment. We constructed 11 wells. We drove all kinds of sheet pile in, and we're almost done with building the coffer dam, and we've actually started excavation. I anticipate we're back on track after several delays due to unanticipated and unknown conditions buried in the soil below South Coast Plaza, and including some shoring boxes and things that are obviously left from a previous construction activity. I'm not sure where, when, but we've run into everything we could on that project to throw us off schedule. But we're back on track. I believe that we will maybe potentially have the replacement sewer installed by this Friday. And then that would give us next week to backfill, restore the site. And I think we could be completed as early as February 6th. I think that's Friday. But I will know more by, let me say Wednesday or Thursday this week, but that's what I'm kind of forecasting right now is for us to be done about a week or so early. I think the original schedule has completed like on the 21st of February. So I think we're gonna be ahead of schedule, and I think that we will be done by the 6th. That being said, do you have any questions? Is there any information I can provide?
Just before you backfill, you guys, I mean, you make the repairs, get everything, so it's ready to go, right? Turn the system back on or whatever you do. Do you look at that or monitor it before you backfill it, or is it just assume that everything's gonna be okay and backfill it, we move on?
Well, if you're asking if I'm going to test it and make sure that the thing is not gonna fail and everything's good to go. Fortunately, the piece of pipe is short enough that I just take one piece of pipe and go from tackle all the way to our lead well. I don't, in fact, I'm not even sure I'm going to pressure test it because there's no joints or anything to test.
Your confidence level is really good, and I appreciate that. And what you presented to the latest, I think opened up a few eyes as to how severe something could be, so that was good timing and well done.
Thank you very much.
But you recommend us still approving this authorization, don't you?
Yes, absolutely, and as our general manager may have mentioned to you, you need to unfortunately, take two actions tonight. One will be to adopt the emergency replacement as statutorily exempt under the CEQA Public Resources Code 21,000 under section 15269B, emergency projects. And then you'll have to take a separate action to approve authorizing continuation of the resolution.
Before you do that, do we have any progress or any discussion with Southwest Plaza on costs? Are you still working on that?
We're still working on it. I'm gonna wait till all the invoices come in and then I'll meet with the general manager.
Do we have any idea, or Southwest Plaza indicated that this project had any adverse effect on them economically?
No,
Maybe I'm
no,
sure they
they-
did well.
no,
during
they-
the Christmas season
they did.
anyway.
They did extremely well during the holidays, better than expected, so no, it did not impact them.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Any motion?
Is the first one, adopting the project 355?
Yeah, we're ready to take each motion one at a time. So
I'll do first option, adopt project 355 Southwest Plaza Emergency Sewer Replacement at the statutory exempt under the California CEQA.
All right, questions? Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Second, you'll approve the authorization. Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the authorization situation. Resolution number 2024-997.
Motion by Perry, second by Schaefer, discussion?
Yes, does this last for the 1 month or?
Yes, 1 month.
It lasts for 1 month, so we should be okay with this.
hopefully it'll be the last one, yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Thank you guys for your continuous diligence on this. It's probably the biggest project we've had in a long time.
Probably for this ever.
That was sure I've been around as long as you. Okay, those are all your reports. We'll go, Mark.
Okay, I'll keep it brief tonight, basically, as Director Luton has suggested, we will be looking at project 346 Harbor Generator Addition, and it may morph into a project where we, develop an overflow, option instead of putting the generator in for that particular project. So I've got RVH, they'll be probably starting, looking at that at the low spots in that particular sewer shed area. And then we will, probably bring some information, I'm gonna say probably later, this spring, early spring or so, we'll bring something back to you and advise what we think is happening with that project. And those are the pump station. I've reviewed I'll say preliminary design to extend the gravity sewer all the way to the pump station. And then we would eliminate the force main and modify the piping within the pump station proper so that two pipes basically discharge into one one manhole and then it's gravity flow from there. H Tractor building has been completed. I believe we've recorded the county recorder's office, the project completion, and so that's moved forward. And then the project 354 Eldon Fan, electrical improvements at the pump station, and we need to make these improvements before we can install the new fan and mechanical equipment or odor scrubber. That's something that we're looking at right now. And so the electrical work, which is typically the longest lead item, is out for bid right now. We have a mandatory project meeting with the contractors on Wednesday. So stay tuned. I'm thinking that project will be bid open in about a month or so, and we'll be moving forward with that particular project. And I guess that concludes my report. Unless there's an item you want to ask me questions or you want me to discuss further within our report.
Anybody? Okay, thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Let's move to our treasurer, Mr. Davis. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. This is your quarterly review of your investment portfolio. The market today Dow closed at 44,714. It was up 289 on the day. And since January 1st, the beginning of the year, Dow is up 2,053 or 4.81%. So chugging right along. From an inflation standpoint, inflation at December was at 2.9%. We hit a low in September. We were at 2.4% and has steadily started increasing since that point in time. Coincidentally, September was the first rate cut the Fed made as well. And once the Fed started cutting rates, inflation started going back up. The big unknowns out there in the markets are really what the impact new policies and the new administration is going to have and what that's going to do to the markets. Looking at your portfolio, you're earning 2.969% at December 31. That's up 91 basis points from the beginning of the fiscal year. The rate's starting to go back up. We're close to that 3% mark, which would be nice to be able to bust through. Rates are going up because some of our older investments that we bought during COVID times and pandemic that were rates were very, very low are maturing and starting to fall off. We're going to have a fair amount of that happening during 2025 and be able to replace those where we were only getting at 0.5, 0.6%, you know, in the 3 and 4% range. Again, depending upon what happens at with the markets as a whole. From a class update, we have 4.66 million invested in class, and as of today, they had 1.68 billion under investment. And if you remember when you chose to join class in October of 2023, there was only 156 million invested, so it's grown pretty substantially. That's all I got for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, the asset replacement fund is over $3 million. As you get into the budget, I think the biggest expenditures in those funds is when we bought battery trucks. That fund is not restricted to in the same way that facilities revolving fund is. That has a lot of restrictions. Can some of that money be made available? In the budget process, are you able to access that money?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to defer to finance on.
Yeah, Kalen, if you're listening, you can chime in, please. But yes, we can access the capital release fund for our predominantly for our vehicles, for our fleet, but we can access that for other wastewater functions.
I mean, the budget will tell us if there's any large expenditures. There won't be any $750,000 expenditures like we have in the recent past.
Correct. That's true.
It
That's
does
true.
seem like there's quite a bit of money building in there.
It is, but our fleet has grown too as well, so that's why that money's been building up, because our fleet now, we have 11 vehicles now in our fleet, so. That's why it's growing, because we want, we want to make sure there's enough money in that fund, so when those vehicles are due for replacement, the money's available. Right? We don't have to borrow from the reserves or anything that's there.
You know, they have a 10-year life, and we just.
Some do, but it really depends on usage. Like I'll give you an example, our crane truck, that's had a 10-year life, but it only has like 30,000 miles on it. So it's very low mileage. And we just replaced the crane. So we don't have to replace that vehicle right now. If we can extend another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we'll do that.
It just seems like there's a lot of money in there.
Yeah, sure.
If I may, everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, so yes, there's money in there and you can borrow, you can use it for other expenditures, but then we'll have a plan to pay back, to put it back, so that by the end of the life of that equipment, we have enough, like Scott said, so that we have enough money to purchase a new equipment, a new vehicle, or else we won't have enough money to purchase the new replacement.
So basically what we need is a plan. It's like an HOA has to have a plan, you know, to replace the roof what I'd like to see, and maybe you do show it in the budget, is what you estimate in the next X number of years as potentially needs for this fund.
Sure, we can do that.
And yeah, maybe you already do it in the budget.
We do, I mean, we do calculate when the vehicles are due for replacement, we depreciate the value, we all those numbers are there, so.
Yeah.
But again, we when it's time for replacement, we look at it if it's really needed to replace it.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Mark, when we first started class, right now class, you're showing 17.9% of the portfolio. What did we start? What was that number when we started with class?
We only had placed about $250,000 with class when we opened the account, and we're at just under 4.7 million right now with them.
Okay, so that's pretty substantial. The other question I had was, once the election, I don't know what better word is out, honeymoon is over, it doesn't matter. When there's an election, it doesn't matter really which party, there's gonna be some optimism on certain people. We have a lot of money in federally insured programs. Or federal program, federal home loan, Fannie Mae and all those. Will that change at all, or will we continue to keep those numbers consistent to what we have now?
It depends. It depends.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Every time funds become available to be either reinvested or new investments placed, we'll look at what the best opportunity is out there for the district from a safety perspective first, and then from a liquidity perspective, before we go looking at how much interest we're going to earn on a given security. The federal agencies that you're talking about are not explicitly backed by the government, but there's an implicit backing for them. They're all rated AA, so they're pretty secure. And so from that perspective, they really meet the safety criteria of you in the district and wanting to ensure preservation principle in your portfolio. I do see that probably continue for some time to come.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what administration is in there, those programs don't really change. I mean, the government can't say, we're gonna get rid of, Fannie Mae, we're just gonna dissolve it, or we're gonna let the private industry handle it. That doesn't happen.
No, that doesn't happen, as they have separate boards and run separately. Where it can be influenced is if an administration is dictating other things that affect the programs that they have in place. Mortgages that they're putting out or backing farmers for what they're doing. If there's things that happen at an administration at a policy level that could impact the nature of the services that are provided by them, then yes, at that point, there could be an impact on the organization itself or the rates that we see when they issue debt.
But you're comfortable in the unlikely event that that takes a negative tone, we have vehicles where we can move that, our investment into, whether it be class or late or bonds or whatever else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Sorry,
And questions, those are good.
just want to make sure we have the money and, Mark does a pretty good job making sure we do. Okay, this is an action item, so I'll need a motion to accept the investment report. Thank you. Thank you. Discussion, and all those in favor? That motion to approve the report is unanimous. Thanks, Mark. Okay, Counselor, anything to report to us this evening?
Nothing to report, other than Happy New Year, and if you celebrate the Lunar New Year, Happy New Year, I think that's in like 2 days.
That's true. I have two granddaughters that attend the school here,
The 31st.
and they're both in Mandarin immersion classes. One in kindergarten and one in third grade. And they have their red dresses to wear on Thursday, so.
Of course you are.
Thank you.
You have to give them money,
Do what?
you have to give them money in the red envelope.
They get enough money for that. I gave you something the other night. You take those. I always do it every day. All right, local meetings, Bob, what you guys sanitation?
Yeah, many things they're doing is, they're in the middle of their strategic planning process, which is also 5 year planning. We just installed, we have 25 member agencies and so we get a director and all of that. And there's always a considerable amount of turnover. There, we have, or we got notice of the GM's, and we reviewed the GM's work plan, which ends in June, end of June this year. And they're beginning their budget process like we are, and then there was 3 or 4 closed session items.
Who's the chair?
Yeah, Ryan Gallagher from Tustin. And Dimitri is,
Dimitri's the vice chair. Right?
yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Sarfa, I think.
Oh, yeah, I attended and, heard, not the scrum meeting.
Yes.
There was very few people at the meeting, but they gave an update on, the project. Basically, they're working on getting, from a 200-year, getting to a 200-year flood plan protection for Orange County. And, Seven Oaks Dam was the first big project, and that brought it down to, I got it up to 100 years. And, when they finished raising the Cottle Dam spillway, and that should occur for the most part this year. There's one property that they still have to acquire behind the dam in order to do that, so they don't raise it and then potentially flood that property. And it's been a long process. I don't know how many of them did we start with?
Like over 200.
So they had 200 properties, they're down to one, and it's in eminent domain, so they're going to acquire it. Then they're still working on,
Westminster.
Westminster.
Grove.
Yeah, I keep saying Winterburg, there's a flood, and all of those projects relate to the Santa Ana River. Which there are no new projects on the Santa Ana River. But, where's that?
It's Westminster Garden Grove Channel.
Yeah, so there's a channel that comes down below the 5 freeway. It needs improvement. was that area. To get additional, flood protection. And there are two projects in the works, one of them. The Corps of Engineers, presented projects. There were 20 residents that, objected to one of the projects, and the Corps is working with them. The Corps in those cities are working with, and flood control, Orange County Flood Control, is working with them to potentially design it if that portion of that channel in a different way, and then they can proceed.
Channel is if it runs down through Huntington Beach.
That's it.
Definitely, I mean, when you, like, if you go down any, you go down Adams or you go down any of them, you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
Past the river, there's always water in that channel.
There is, but, there were 3 bridges that needed to be widened and they're done. And they just have two projects more finished.
I always assumed it was water coming the other way up from the ocean.
Well,
It's not.
that only comes a little, that comes a certain distance.
There's other channels you can't see from the river that goes through Garden Grove, Westminster. But the county's been paying and doing some work on the channels already, hoping to get reimbursed by it. But it hasn't happened yet, it's close.
And they'd be spending their money in Los Angeles.
Could be.
Yeah, the flood control decided to move forward with some of those projects. Here without necessarily, I was hoping to get forward, to get Congress to fund it.
They were close this year, but didn't do it. Next year, I think it will really do that.
Yes. You want to report on his stuff? His stuff?
Well, actually, I don't have this stock tonight on Waco, but I did attend those. I didn't bring them from the holiday stuff I wrote, but I have CSBA.
Go ahead.
So, excuse my voice. CSBA, reported the general. Actually, they put me on membership committee, development committee, and the finance committee.
Okay, SDRMA, we had a short board meeting last month, and it's funny, everybody's doing their strategic plans. I mean, how did that happen? So we're working on a strategic plan. We have our regular board meeting next week, so I will be in Sacramento Tuesday through Thursday next week. Other meetings, anybody? Bob?
I went to the
Oh,
Costa Mesa,
go.
sorry,
No, go right ahead.
went to the Costa Mesa City Council meeting on the 21st. There was a presentation about vectors and vector-borne disease. Vector is an organism-binding insect that transmits the disease. There were 0 cases of West Nile virus in Costa Mesa and 1 travel-related case of dengue. There was discussion about ICE and President Trump's mass deportation initiative, which could affect up to about 40,000 people in Costa Mesa. And then there were dueling public comments. One was about it's a remote control airplane club that loves to, like fly their airplanes in Fairview Park, I think. And then there was a public comment from a resident who was really unhappy about it. Makes it sound.
It's funny, an innocuous little habit that these very expensive innocuous little habit that these guys have. For years has stirred up controversy over in that area, and even when I was a kid, living on a river, they had all that stuff going, so it was bigger than. It much bigger, so. Yeah, thank you. I think I'm the one that had dengue fever.
I know.
That's a terrible for a week and a half.
I can talk about Waco a little bit. It was basically, the most important thing that came out of there was, the meeting was about climate extremes. And basically, what he concluded, working with, NOAA and other agencies, right now, they're only able to predict weather accurately 2 weeks out. So you'll see on your phones and whatnot, when you see the weather, they don't go beyond 2 weeks. They're working at trying to figure out how to model and improve the estimation of what will go on. We are in a La Nina, and La Nina, generally, people think of La Nina as drier time. That's not always the case. La Nina is just basically a temperature process that creates weather off of the Pacific Ocean. But it can mean drier, and it can also mean extremely wet.
But El Nino is always bad.
Well, he didn't talk about, he talked about that, yeah, I didn't pay attention to it. But La Nina doesn't necessarily mean drier, it generally means drier.
See, so La Nina could be really dry or really wet, whereas El Nino is generally, so the El
Yeah.
Nino is one specific thing,
Yeah,
whereas La Nina can be either one. Typical female versus male analogy there.
well, I get what you say, so.
I don't know about that. Not a negative thing.
Yeah, anyway, the impact on us when we have drier conditions is generally Orange County standard for flow. Are moderated, and our flow can also be moderated, so. California's had 200-year droughts, and we've just come off from multi-year droughts periods. So we're probably in for drier weather in January. It is, I got 8/10 of an inch in my backyard, and that's the only rain we've had mostly from.
The last couple of days, maybe.
Yeah.
Really.
So a little bit of rain in January. Not much.
I have a couple, just to make mention of the liaison meeting, good meeting. It was a very productive meeting, I thought, and like I mentioned Friday morning, listening to our fire chief is like listening to a silver-throated guy. I mean, Dan is really a good presenter of things, and like we were talking earlier, he's a dedicated guy. Really is an asset to the city of Wisconsin. The other meeting I'll report on that is I haven't attended yet, but it's the meeting you all just can't wait for me to report on.
OCOG?
Huh?
OCOG?
No, I did OCOG last week. I'm the alternate for the emergency operations. We have our annual training this Thursday out in that remote part of Orange County where you know what I'm talking about? Exactly. So next month I'll give you it. Annually, they get the directors and the alternates together to train us. I have a feeling this Thursday's meeting is gonna be pretty heavily fire related, so.
How did you get that appointment?
Is Doc, would you like to be appointed to that?
I was incident commander in Orange County, Sanders. Probably appropriate, but I don't want to do it.
I have a question for Scott. Could we ever hold a meeting like that here? Or we are.
It's probably not in the.
It's curious.
It's two, we're not big enough for something like that.
And they meet at the operations center, so they make sure you know, like, every jurisdiction's got its own little workplace, and they have signs hanging from the wall that say sheriff's department here, special districts here, so you have to sit in your little cubby.
Yeah.
We had bought radios in the past, for the meetings.
No, we
They
communicate.
tuned in to those emergency projects. Special radio.
So you'll have to be on pins and needles. Okay. Go ahead.
So I did attend Zoom last, liaison meeting. Is that that?
Yeah.
On Zoom.
Okay, is that what Sue was talking about?
Did you have a public comment to make?
I have a question about meetings, this, because I didn't know how to do it.
It's okay for the board to take a public comment.
It's just about these meetings you've already talked about.
Please. Don't drive.
I was just curious, I know you have people assigned to the meetings and then you have an alternate, obviously, so somebody always attends. But is there a rule that three of you can't go to the same meeting if the whole board isn't included? Or like Waco and those types of things? Or is that different because you guys don't really vote?
It-
They're like, how does that?
Things like Waco and ISDOC and those associations that we're part of, those are informational meetings, they're not. I mean, they still operate under the Brown Act, they still have meeting notice, things like that. But we're members of those associations primarily for educational reasons. And if that has a different, Counselor, stay with me, they have sort of a different connotation than, this is a public meeting. Whereas those are educational and.
Okay, so you theoretically, all five of you, if you wanted to, could
Yes.
go to the meeting. That's all I was trying to.
It'd be like a conference. Like they can all go to a conference, kind of similar to that. They can all go to a conference.
Okay, or like a Waco meeting.
Yes. they can all-
Thank you.
But we have a public meeting here at the district. It's noticed and everything. All five of us can attend if it's posted correctly and if it's noticed correctly to the public, which we do a pretty good job of making sure. But if we have an ad hoc committee, for example, only two of us can attend.
Okay, thank you very much for the
Yes,
clarification.
very well. Am I okay with that? All right.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, we have no closed session this evening, oral communications and direct comments, anybody have any comments?
Do we need to address, what Sue was, talking about?
Well, I mean,
Virtually.
if you want us to look at, if we have any policies on boards attending meetings, we can look at that and bring it back, but. I mean, you can't really talk about it on the agenda, but you can give us direction to look at
Well,
something.
so it would be, the policies would be in our operations.
Yes,
Or under the Brown Act or under,
no, it could be our own internal policies, an own internal policy of what she's talking about, so we can look at what our internal policies are.
okay, any other comments from anybody? All right, then we'll adjourn to our February 8th, whatever February study session.
Yeah.